All right, let's get started. Now, I was showing this earlier, but just to be clear, we're going to sew this strip to the outside of our t-shirt, like the good side. We're going to sew this down like this, to the good side of the t-shirt, see, not to the inward or with the seam allowance, but the good side. Sew it down like that, because then when we turn it over, this will be our nice finish, right? So, this is our good side. This is the back of our neck opening. We fold this thing double. Remember, we said that we would start in the middle, leave a little bit of open space, and start here or so, right? Except that's not the way my sewing machine works. I need to start in the other direction. Hold your t-shirt up, good side out, neck towards you, find the middle. Fold this strip double with the good side out, the side that you want to be shown later outwards. Go a little bit past the middle and then give it 5 centimeters or 2 inches or so. That's where we're going to start sewing. Here too, you want to stay equidistant from this edge of your knit binding, and you also want to keep this edge of the knit binding exactly on the edge of your fabric underneath, right? I'm going to once again count my seam guard to help me accomplish that. Note once again that I am not sewing up until the very end. I'm leaving some space. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave even a bit more space. So this thing here at the back, we will use that later to attach both edges, both ends of our neck binding together. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we need to pull the gray fabric a bit and try to not pull the pink. When I say pull it a bit, you pull it a bit in the straight sections, like where we are now, the back of the neck. And then you give it a little bit of an extra pull when you get to the turns. Like here, as we approach the shoulder seam, the neck opening makes a turn, and in that turn you need to pull it a little bit extra. Don't be shy, just give it a good yank. As we come into the front opening, the curve is a little bit less curved, but the front opening is still sort of gently curved all along. So keep good tension on the ribbon here, on the knit binding, and no tension on your t-shirt fabric. Just make your way around, keeping this edge on top of the edge of your fabric. Take your time, don't rush it. This will look good if you take your time. And coming up to the shoulder seam again, so once again, I'm going to gently increase the tension, and in this section I'm going to really give it a good yank. Keep this ribbon under a lot of tension, but not the t-shirt. Basically you want to be less t-shirt material for the ribbon. Now as we approach the end, I'm going to stop here. And as you can see, we have extra material. So now we are going to join these two pieces. So how are we going to do that? The good sides together. So we're just going to merge these two like that. And we're going to sew that down. And you can start very close to the edge, which will make our ribbon too long. But once they're attached, it's easier to shorten them. That's easier than trying to get them from the right length from the start. So I'm just going to put these down like that. Sew them down. And now, as you see, we essentially have one ribbon. However, it's slightly longer than our t-shirt, and we want the opposite effect. We want it to be slightly shorter, so that when we sew this on, we have to stretch this a little bit for the t-shirt fabric to lay flat. So we're just going to make it a tiny little bit shorter by moving this seam. Now they're about the same length, so I'm going to make them a bit shorter still. As I said before, once you have them joined, it's much easier to make them shorter than to try to get it right from the first time, lengthwise. So. There we go. And I'm going to cut off this excess fabric, because if not, that will make a big bunch at the back of our neck, and we don't want that. Now, as you can see, this ribbon is a bit shorter than a t-shirt, and so when we stretch it, it all comes together. This is where we left it earlier. And this is where we will start again now. Make sure this is all aligned. Get our seam guard in place for the distance. There we go. As you can see from the front, this is our finished neck opening, but we're still going to add some stitches here to keep everything in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go around and I'm going to sew this down like 3 millimeters or so on the front. On the back, I'm going to do the same. The first time around, I'm going to go all the way around. Second time around, I'm going to do an extra row of stitches at the back, because that's where your neck is and it's going to have this tendency to do that. So I'm going to stitch it down a few millimeters there, all the way around, and then even more, a second row, and that one only at the back. This will be our first row that's going to go all the way around. I'm just going to let my foot here follow the edge of our grey knit binding. This time around you don't want to stretch it, just follow the fabric as it goes. Here too, take your time. This will be a seam that is always on show. It is so-called top stitching. So you want to make sure this is done nicely. As you make your way across the neck opening. And don't forget that if you sew the front to the back, you won't be able to get in your t-shirt. Also don't make any wrinkles. You want to shift this fabric on the left side, because if you have it like that, it's going to make wrinkles, so you should always reposition it so that it lies flat. There we go. As you can see, we've sewn our neckline all the way around, and now on the back we're going to do a second row of stitches a bit further. We're going to go from shoulder seam to shoulder seam. So the question is how far. You of course want to make sure that you still catch the binding on the back side.